The Out There channel.
Please sub and share.
Searching for the truth. UFOs, aliens, greys and ufology. Real images, real stories, real videos, real cases, researched and investigated by professionals in the field and cutting-edge discoveries. Multiple witnesses, abduction accounts brought to you by Team The Out There channel. Good to be back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Action.
Yo. Anybody out there? So, early morning here, 9 a.m. Should be ideal for the top of the world, Germany, UK, Europe, and possibly New Zealand and Australia. But it is midweek. In America, I think they're going into a late night evening, so maybe they'll be up too. Special welcome to any truckers out there that listen. We had a few that followed the channel once. I'm not sure if they're still out there. Doing a good job getting the supplies around the world and country and delivering my parcels. Also the medical people, they were overstretched, especially in New Zealand. So yeah, better type up the side comments and wait for people to join. But I got a few things to go over today. It should be a good show. Okay, so we're going to do update on Calvine stuff. And put out another theory of mine. Because we've been talking about it in emails mostly. Despite I got a Discord group where it should be better to do that sort of stuff in real time. Well, I get there eventually. Eventually people will come around and stop being idiots and join the real truth for ufology, not the fake ones. So doing that today, episode 62 already. I got a typo there, and that looks right. And I'll post up my web link here. Not sure if anyone uses it though. Yeah, I don't think Plex has updated it to my wishes. So, it is what it is. Alright, all good. So it's just me still. Anyway, I'll kick it off. So, more information or arguments has come to light with Robert in emails, UK, who's now part of that, what was it called now? That big group of disclosure UAP people that's meant to be doing the hard research, for your requests. Okay, so, yeah, where to begin? There's quite a lot of stuff. Oh, I'm going to press the wrong screen. That's the last thing I want to do. Got to be on this screen. Yay. I just need to kill some background stuff again. Alright, well, looks like it's all good. Don't want any slowdowns if we can help it. We're still on this 6-course system, and we need 12 or higher, especially when I start using the video editor, which I'll bring up now actually. So I saved all those images, but guess what? I forgot to copy them across before I deleted stuff. I must have been really tired. So I was actually going to recap Mick West's client for Calvine. So we're going to Calvine UK still. So we do some updates and a new theory of mine based on what I've seen on confessions on UFO videos from Lockheed Martin. Stuff I have read online too, and I'll just put it all together. So yeah, so we'll just go through the theories, and let's see, we need a diamond shape, so we do that. Got a diamond listed there. Why is it not coming up? Oh, here we go. Yep, we got a diamond, that'll do it. So apparently this UFO shaped like a diamond, symmetrical diamond. People were looking at the photograph and coming up with new theories. Now the first one that seems to be prominent on Metabunk as well as Alien Addict was on this one here, of it being a chunk of rock and a lock in the same area of Calvine, which is what, Perthshire. But Mick has said that reflections, unless you're perfectly aligned, are not always going to be symmetrical, which is true, because if you're higher up in elevation, looking down, you would have to be at side of the lakeside to photograph it, right? Which I believe there's no fence line. But anyway, we'll just go over it. And they said the other thing that was the Harrier jet. I've just got a plain one here somewhere. I can't quite see it. Where are you, plane? Is that it? Is that the plane? Ah, yes. So if it's going the wrong direction. Yeah, can we rotate that easily? I'm not sure if you can rotate the images. Flip them. Yeah, looks like we've really lost control there. No, that one. That's not a nice colour either. I'll make it red. We can do it that way. But it's not right still. Can we flip it here? It's one thing I don't think you can do. There's no flip command. And if you flip it, I think it messes up. And that will do the whole image. So how would you do it with a symbol? I don't think there's an option. Apart from copy it into another thing, but there must be a way. Probably some of these add-ons. Flip, probably. Let's see, there must be something here. Adjustments. I have to go through everything. Where would it be though? Distortion. Oh, no, it's got so many options. Image application. Noise, object, alignment. Center both, center vertically. What's that mean? Shapes. Orb generator. Yeah. Tools. Say all over the place. Smudge. That's an interesting one. Grayscale object. Still going on. I might have to do it the hard way. Flip. Oh, here we go. Okay, what's that going to do though? Mind you, if it flipped that one up there, we wouldn't know anyway, I suppose. But if we lost control of it, I think we have. It's done the whole image, I betcha. I should have. Was that over the other way? That's just. Yeah, it flipped the whole image. It's the same as going there. Flip horizontal. Well, that'll do anyway. Let's just copy that. So, they were saying this plane was actually a guy in a rowboat, and that thing there's an oar, and he's rowing this way. So, that is one of the theories at the moment. Paste. So, and they reckon the other images, this moves along every 2 seconds. From Stu Little's interview with Alien Addict, but also there's another guy that's seen the videos, said this was definitely a Harrier jet that was circling an object, not a rowboat. So that means it might have been turning VU members differently than the other guy going around behind it. So unless we see the other images, we can't be sure if this is a constant size, and these are happening every 2 seconds. You see snaps between negatives. They said they could measure it based on the position of the plane on each of the photos. Would have to be 2 seconds snaps. But I did ask, well, how can they be sure it's 2 seconds though? Because I did some research on film negatives. Can you add date two photographs from the negative. And here it says the only markings on the negative would be the film type, which makes sense, which may help. They could give you props dates when the film was made, so that's sort of age in it, but not actually actual timestamp and time. Time wasn't actually printed on early cameras. Did they have a picture of it on this one? This page might help. So that's what it said there. But yeah, next one. In old film cameras, how does the timestamp feature work? Well, there's a picture of a camera here. It looks very similar to the Canon camera that might have been used. And you can see here they got the date with, you turn the cogs for the year number and month and day, right? And it shines, when you snap the photograph, it shines a like a transparency bright light onto the negative in the corner, but it doesn't have time. So that's going back to the 1990s, right? Up until chips become common, it was done this way. So yeah, as far as I know, it didn't have a date and time on the photographs, so obviously they weren't using it if it did have that anyway, unless it got cropped off, of course. Most common was a small LED 7-segment display in the camera itself, would momentarily flash the time and date onto the film when the shutter was pressed. That was common with electronic film cameras, become common probably the 1990s. So was it after this other camera make? I suspect it was from the back, therefore inverted to get the right on the negative, as electronics would have blocked some of the image of if the LED was in front. So that's all the information I could find on that. But I believe Alien Addicts Stu Little said it was definitely a Canon EL. Let's have a look what we can find. EL what though? I think he said EL. Maybe 1990. There, I think. One doesn't have a whirly thing on front. Is that the one? These all look like modern cameras, don't they? This one, was it EAL or AE1? I'm not sure now. Just wanted the specs on it, didn't we? Well, that seems to be one that's coming up pretty well on 76. What's that say there? Transistor. Did it have chips in it though? 1990. I suppose that's early transistors, radios. Canon E1, let's have a look. What is he talking about? SLR, because that's modern. That sounds like a modern camera. But then it says today Canon Japan from 1976 to 1984. Uses electronically controlled electromagnetic horizontal cloth. Features. Original FD lenses introduced in 1971 do not rotate in the mounting process. So let's talk about timestamps. The 1970s and 80s were an era of intense competition. Major Japanese SLR brands. Nikon. So it would have been added in features like timestamps, I guess. But even so, it wasn't in the film. But yeah, I'm just getting sidetracked there, I guess, a bit. I don't see anything mentioned about timestamps on it. You think that would be like a lead-in feature? Why to get this camera? Now you can include time on your film. Which I must admit, when you look back at old photographs and family, you think, yeah, when was that? You know, even the year number would be handy. And then you got questions like, who is that? Nowadays you got tagging and Facebook and all that sort of taken advantage of. So yeah, what's happened here? I've got too many tabs open again. So yeah, not sure if it was AE1 or L1. L1. Was there an L1? Anyway, what's that one there? 1976 to 86. That's an E1 again. Oh well, it doesn't really matter. But at least we know the film doesn't have any timestamps on it, unless your camera added it, and that was rare. So there are the two things on the camera time, so you can get rid of those. The other thing was the battle, whether it was black and white negatives versus colour film. In fact, it was black and white negatives printed onto colour film, and Mick West was debating up here, saying to him it looked too much greens in the tree. But then I did some research. Clearly he didn't. Here's an example of printed black and white. Hello Shigan, how's it going? I've been eating what? In stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty good. Haven't been so sick this week with the pills, which is good. I was a bit crook on Tuesday though, where it was hard to eat, but yeah, it's my birthday week, so happy birthday to me. So for my special dinner of KFC was terrible. The Indian runners off the local overcooked it, and it was so dried out. Yeah, it's a disaster. What? We on dogs chasing birds or serious stuff? This is about Calvine. Update to the last one. You were on the last one, weren't you? Carrying on from 59, which was my theory about two jets head on. So we're just carrying on from there with more information come to light and more debates. Also, got more debunks to go over. You can see I've got a few tabs there, and it should be a fairly good show. So I've already been recapping things and what's out there at the moment, which I think is complete nonsense. And my theory is probably the best one so far, but I've got another theory which is based on some new information here, which is still hearsay because we haven't got the full witness accounts. No one's actually interviewed the witnesses because they disappeared, right? So anyway, this is a black and white on a colour paper. And this is what happens. You get greens and browns happening as well as some blues tints. So instead of nice defined black and white, you can see here, you get all sorts of strange effects. I'm not sure what this is here, but it looks like when they do colour printing, they use a thing called toning. So when you do black and white prints on colour, you do a toning thing where you convert the black and white to sepia, which is orange colour, apparently, to try and get it to be black and white or something. I don't know. I'm not too much sure on the chemical process, but after with aging and stuff, you can see here. It does look a wee bit like the Calvine one. But this one's obviously more damaged. So we've got some greens and blues, black and white, sort of tonish colour. And we've got browns, which I thought was camo. But yeah. But yeah, we was debating with Mick about it. Because he was saying up here, but the analysis by, this looks like colour image to me, but he's wrong. But the analysis by Andrew Robertson says it's black and white film on colour paper, which I agree with because I did some research into it too and found that for the closest example I could get. But there are some other images out there. I'll post that link to that little hoo-ha. And hey Mike, how's it going? Wasn't sure if you were around on Wednesday. You said you were. Yeah, I was just saying it was my birthday. This is my birthday week. Well, birthday's gone. But yeah, we're on to updates on Calvine now. Happy to be here listening, that's good. I was, okay, I'm on to it. Cool. Yeah, BNT, if you're on that channel, that's got hacked and it's been taken down. That's why I got an error message. Better shrink that down. Let's keep it up then. So I'm just recapping with some drawings, as you can see, like how I like to present things and explain things. You can see here it's got error reload for, so hopefully that will come up soon. But subs are still going up slowly. Even YouTube was below, went down to what was it? Yeah, it went down to 2518. they keep losing subs. I think the only one that goes backwards on the UFO side of things, and now it's gone up to 4 more subs, but I think that might be new people joining, right? And so Google have got to then send their bot after me to take some away again. Nasty people. So yeah, I was talking about the theories out there so far. The one was a lake with a reflection, and I said bollocks because that second half would have some distortion probably in it, or wouldn't look like the same colour tone right across, which it is. And they're saying this is a guy in a rowboat, which because it's all blurry and the shape of it, I suppose you could say that. You'd have to see Mick West's Metabunk page. I think I posted it last time. But anyway, the people that have seen the photographs said that this plane here was moving like it was a snapshot every 2 seconds. And it was actually rotating around the object, I guess. Looked like it was going around it. So I'm just wondering, alien attics witness reporter maybe wasn't paying attention to the angle of the plane or something like that, just remembers it going past. But yeah, my problem was the photographs taken in a sequence, and is there any proof? Because timestamp's not there, and those old cameras didn't have it anyway. Only some of them started using electronics back then to shine a light on, and chips that kept time, right? So to me that looked like a hairy jet towel, and the front thing had a bubble at the front, and probably could zoom into that and overlay a Harrier jet if we want to today. But I think it's doesn't really matter what type of plane it is that's circling it. But I think it might be filming it, you know, because I think it might be a Black Ops craft or crafts. But yeah, I'll go over my initial theory too. Mick West was saying it was a kite that was on an angle. That's why he mucked around with the aspect ratio. But I think that would change the colour pattern, because the kite he had, which unfortunately I didn't keep the image, else I would bring it up now and rotate it 3-dimensionally. You would see the pattern change enough on that photograph to know it's not one of those kites he was referring to. So yeah, so that's basically the summary of colour prints and black and white prints, but the two reporters that saw it said it was definitely black and white printed on colour paper. I'm not sure if they saw copies thrown in the bin. But the newspaper didn't print the story because they got a cease and desist Class D order, that it's top secret and they would be arrested if they printed it or whatever. So they didn't take the chance. But then this guy had a print of it, obviously. Maybe took it out the bin, who knows? Because it was, maybe that's probably part of the problem. Maybe the colours were off or something. Because they got to do several attempts at it, right? With the toning, like I was talking about, getting black and white to look properly okay on coloured prints. Yeah, in the drawer for 30 years. It's probably got aged as well, the chemicals. So yeah, it's a very interesting case. And why it would be classified for another 50 years, they're claiming that's when people will die. So as we know, pilots are generally in their 20s to 30s, aren't they? So 20 years on would to 1990s, and the 1990s to 22 would mean another 30 years on, so that means they'll be in their 50s, maybe 60s. So let's say they're in the 50s, so they've added another 50 years on, which make them 100. They'd probably be dead by then, which is the length of the classification increase. And that's saying that's the reason why. They still might not have in that report what the object was. Alien or black ops, blah blah blah. So, let's just clean this up again. So that's the breakdown of the theories out there and my one. So my one, which I saw last second half of the show on 59, was it was 2 jets that were filming during with special plating, maybe stealth plating, maybe early stealth plating, radar plating, rather than camo. Or maybe even pilotless robot AI assisted planes heading towards each other to see if they would crash or whatever, and they were filming it with a Harrier jet. Apparently in the area it's meant to be a well-known valley for testing compact testing planes, right? And it's remote, so if they crashed into the valleys, it's less likely to cause death of other bystanders. So, yeah, my theory. I would just, before we carry on, we'll just carry up. I'm not a bot, I'm amigo. Christine, no. Okay, as long as you're not going to spam and be silly. I was just going to say Mick West. Planes, buggers, aren't they? No one will care if alive. Well, we'll be dead by the time it gets leaked. But maybe they'll go back on these old shows and see who's correct. So yeah, 2 triangles. So what forms a triangle? We've got black there. That'll do. So obviously it's not an equilateral triangle each side, it's more going to be like that, which some triangle sightings have been seen like that, right? Oh, we're in there. Let's get rid of that one and try another one. So we know if we stretch it a bit and then scale it right, and we get 2 triangles. So let's say these are 2 experimental planes or F-14s with special coating on being tested, and not sure if that's quite the right size. There we go. It's a bit like the Calvine UFO. So if you've got 2 planes going head on, right, like this, I would like to see those other photographs. So let's say if they snapped it there and then one there, and then they went around and did another test flyby, maybe to see for some experiment, right? And took 6 snaps because we don't know what the time frame was. And in that time, the Harrier jet was flying here and going this way, and meant to be circling it behind. But we got no reference points there. We haven't actually got the images. The images out there are mock-ups where someone's cut the original diamond shape, and just like I did on the diagram here, just move the Harrier jet around to say what they saw, because they haven't got copies of it, and if they revealed it, they'd probably be arrested anyway because it's still classified. So yeah, it could quite easily be two planes passing each other. So you'd have to see my original breakdown on 59, and because I overlaid the F-14s on top, and the angles and everything matched up, and the nose cone and the cockpits. But since been talking about it being 2 seconds apart, let's assume they're correct. Then it's not going to be two jets passing by. So I have another idea, which I'll maybe create a new image. And this is based on shows I've listened to where Lockheed Martin scientists and developers have leaked out some new information in the recent couple of years. I've been talking about these things called stealth blimps, right? That could go hypersonic speeds, and everybody was laughing about them. But I found some old books and things talking about lighter than aircraft, and they had all sorts of different shapes and sizes. Even some were said to be cubes, like this. There's a three-dimensional cube here somewhere. That's a good question. We've got cones. Oh, there's one. That might do. So they had all sorts of kind of weird sightings of these multiple stories high with little windows on them. You know, little windows they could see around. Really need non-dimensional squares now. But and it made a hum sound, and it slowly moved along. And that's really strange sightings, right? I'm not sure if there's no motion blur, right? If you have a look at the images, they are really blurry. And I thought that might be just vapor trails coming off the nose cone and the edges of the craft, but if you look at the whole images, it is blurry. So there is some motion blur there, but we're talking about old cameras and film, and not slow CPU processing sensors like we're using at the moment. Film in that aspect is better at capturing better quality images faster, and because it's like a CCD camera too, the shutter captures all the photons at that instant, but CMOS does it in a scanner, rotating scanner, and that's where you get a lot of artifacts from at the moment. But it's getting faster and faster, of course, and that's not going to be a problem in future technology. But anyway, won't go too much into that. Zero motion blur. There is no hypersonic blimps. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. I've covered it many times and shown the TV guys from Lockheed Martin talking about them. So in the early 1950s, they had the book of zero lighter than air ships, and they had all different shapes and sizes in the book, and it sort of fits some of the sightings that people saw. Basically, they were filled with cells of helium. So if one popped, they could replace it or whatever. And they had enough of them that it would be buoyant. And they had these special engines that they developed that could run off nuclear power. Or high voltage power, you know, a bank of batteries or whatever. But it could also have generators inside, right? but I think they would have gone for nuclear batteries. They can make them pretty safe nowadays, but whether they had the technology back in 1950 for safe nuclear batteries, I don't know. But once you got high voltage power, right, it's just a matter of converting it to whatever you want to, which could be ion engines, ion plasma engines that could push that along at hypersonic speeds. Now, the Lockheed Martin guy said they had them going at Mach 5, which is hypersonic, and even greater. So, but he said his designs were the same as Phoenix Lights, and what was happened at Phoenix Lights was probably most likely one of the blimps that come down from their high altitude, which was it 100,000 feet edge of space, or was it 100 miles? 100 miles, I think it was. Really on the edge of space, so they're in the area where they're not going to be detected or cast shadows on the earth and all that sort of stuff. And they had a thing called what was it now? Dark Sky Station. Sounds something like out of Thunderbirds, but anyway, this documentary is also on web pages. I have covered it before. You just got to watch everything I do, you know. So, have we got a crescent shape here? Not really. That's one thing we're missing. We've got arrows. There's a crescent shape there. So, apparently these blimps were crescent shape, but more angle to that. And they had a floating station that these things could dock onto. So they had a lot of these coming around. Of course, that's in the wrong direction. And they would clip into a hub, basically. And they would go around in circles. Around the hub, but like Star Trek in a way with their satellites. Okay, so the hub thing was like had its own power, and they were using a canvas that could self-repair or easy to repair. So if you shot lots of holes through it, it had all these cells of helium inside, which wouldn't explode, right, because it's neutral gas. And they would simply just pass through or whatever. So if you try to shoot it down with missiles and stuff, it would be impossible. But what they had on this thing, he said, is they had regular fighter jets just hanging underneath. And that sort of got me thinking, why would they do that? Well, if they had this station they could float anywhere in the world, it would make sense to float it somewhere near enemy territory places, which would make sense that sometime they would be hovering over UK, which would be, if they were like 100 miles above UK, would be the ideal place, where they still would be inside Allied territory with permission. So all it takes is one of these things to go wrong, and they'll float down above a city like Phoenix and people see it, and then they cover it up with dropping flares, right, to make a similar shape in the sky with lights. So he did draw a hub, and it was kind of it'll be on my channel, because I did actually take snapshots. I was very careful about copyright infringement, but I did actually have some snaps of it. It's kind of like these ships would interconnect, and like that into a hub. So the hub had like this shape, this cross shape to it, and they had a bit that used to hang down too, he said. So side by view you would have like your hub, and then you have a bit coming down to a bit down here which had these jets hanging off the bottom. So the jets, I'll just give you a different colour, were hanging off the bottom, ready to be launched at a moment's notice. Is it Dark Sky Station? Dark Star Station? Can't remember what it's called now, but it's something like that. So all these were hanging off the blimp underneath. Now, I'm not sure how they got into the planes. That he didn't talk about. But let's assume Calvine has a tic-tac blimp thing in the middle. Where we got one? Okay, so we have a tic-tac, but it's balanced to be that way. And if you do the planes again, need to rotate it. Although we weren't seeing it on the angle though. We just want to see this bit in the middle, so really you want to erase that bit, but this assume that all this is glass and we're seeing it transparency, even though it's not. Okay, so you're probably going to be with me now in a possibility of a idea. So it looks like I've got it too long here, but we'll make the triangles bigger. But I was thinking, could easily be something like this, and that capsule they were talking about on this floating blimp livable station. Why is it not rotating? Okay, it looks like I accidentally clicked. So if you have two of those planes, right, on a tic-tac, which is too long here, and if you could imagine it then that there's another two planes on the other side and we're only seeing one side of it, that would make perfect sense. And of course they don't have to be, you know, like normal planes hanging underneath. They could be on the side, and they could come inside, they live inside this blimp bit where they can climb up through a connection point underneath a plane and get inside the cabin, a bit like Thunderbirds. So these might be modified special stealth planes, right? So if I drew that so it's balanced, so you got to imagine this thing here, from looking at the top of it, would have the planes there, 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 and then it would be balanced, right? And then it would have the the connection point that goes upwards to the rest of the hub, and it would have like livable areas inside here, and it will also have these special engines that aid the helium and keep it buoyant enough. And pretty sure they're bound to generate electricity not just from solar, but with the air currents passing an ionization, right? There would have to be a way that you could actually collect high altitude energy, maybe even releasing a piece of tether. Maybe they're doing the tether experiments where they're saying they could have a space station that dropped the tether down and it would that react with the thin atmosphere, creating electricity. So the eyewitness said this shot off super fast vertically. Maybe what happened is this thing, one of the engines failed and it lost buoyancy, and they were trying to fix it, but it was gradually coming downwards. So they had some sort of control, and it may have been just hovering over in that valley, and they didn't want anyone to notice it, obviously. So yeah, it could fit in still with stealth blimps. Rather than it being a blimp itself, it could be part of the module with the launch planes on it. And that kind of fits in with also what Finn was seeing with the two triangles, right? Because there are triangle shapes. They may not be swept rings at all, and they may be just triangle shapes. So, that's my new theory. Doesn't necessarily have to be aliens. So that's really what I wanted to go back to, was this one here, because this one I can fit better because I've got already the two planes. But yeah, don't really have a normal tic tac though, do I? Oh, always get caught in that. So that would be in the middle. Okay. With the planes either side of it. It doesn't have to be big, does it? If it's like one of many launch things. So they could float this with the air currents, I guess, and motors anywhere in the world, and just have instant nuclear bombers on top of a target. In fact, there's no reason why they couldn't drop even bombs from this station. So anyway, but there is things out there you can search for it and debate me that they don't exist, but it does. There's a lot of evidence out there now. And you got to have an open mind on this stuff, right? Now what was it? They had a special name for it. Altitude blimps. Was it Lockheed Martin? Obviously it's been declassified now. Or was it JPL? Okay, airship, here we go. Of course I'm not sure about copyright. So that looks like something more modern. What they're saying here, cheaper than satellites. You think Virgin Galactic would be looking at something like this too, instead of launching it from the ground with a plane. actually use the planes to load them up on a blimp and take it from there. Might be even more cost effective. Says 1,000 feet, launched from 1,000 feet. So I'm not sure what these guys are talking about. And of course, propellers don't work at high altitude. That's why you got to look at ion plasma engines, right? So yeah, what's this video here? Let's have a quick skim through it. Okay, so it looks like a more modern airship now. Well, they're saying that one goes up to 100,000 feet, do they? Solar panels on it. What's that? Communicating with satellites. But that's not what this guy was saying on the interview. He wasn't saying those type of airships. Lockheed Martin blimp goes down. Channel News. Looks like one of those modern ones again.
It was a successful launch, but an hour later, something went wrong. Lockheed Martin officials tell News Channel 5 they decided to end the flight, and the ship made a controlled descent into a non-populated area in southwestern Pennsylvania around 8:30 this morning. No exact reason was given. The unmanned...
Okay, so when was that? That's back in 2011, right? So that's the first time I've heard that news report. So yeah, I might just paste that in the side chat. Like I said, we never know what we're going to find until we do some real-time research again. Blimp. Lockheed Martin. It might be JPL, the other ones. I was just seeing if I could find it again. But the TV show, I can't remember what it was. It was last year, I think it was, and they had a big interview with the guy, the developer of the so-called dark station, and they showed some early experiments where they're having wireframe with helium and seeing how buoyant it was and what they could make the stuff from. So yeah, it was actually quite an interesting documentary. High altitude airship, so that's something new, right? So they're still working on it. Crash landing, okay. Yeah, it's all that one. But it's not the one we're after. So look, they win a new contract for high altitude, so they haven't finished with these blimps. Let's see. Blimps. We just type in hypersonic. New age air could be the future of air travel. Lockheed to build a Mach 20 hypersonic weapon system. There you go. Mach 20, wow. Lockheed flies into uncertain future with hypersonic planes. SR-72. Let's have a look at that one. That's not what we're after though, but it's just interesting what you can come up with when you do searches. That looks like a triangle. Looks like something UFO people would see in the sky, doesn't it? So you can see there's a lot of possibilities already just looking at this page here alone. But we know they're working on it for at least since the 50s. And we come across that missile they're talking about. XB-70 in the last episode, and the UFO-shaped hypersonic missile of all things. And back in 1957. So they had the technology of hypersonics back in the 50s. So, yeah, so maybe it wasn't Lockheed Martin that had that contract. Was it JPL? This is like hiding things in plain sight, right? Because this is not part of the FOIA request system. They're funded off to these contract sites, which aren't covered by FOIA. Well, it's got JPL Lockheed there, so maybe they were involved in that one as well, was it? Could be NASA's Next Channel 2014. That was, what's that, 24 years after Calvine. Robot blimps could soar on other worlds. A lightweight inflatable hypersonic drag device for planetary balloon plus parachute. We got here hypersonic flying laboratory. Take home a Russian experimental vehicle. So the Russians are at it too now. Is it? Oh. Okay. Yikes. Looks like it goes into space too, doesn't it? And then what's it do from there? Attack USA. So, yeah. We just don't know what's out there. I still haven't managed to find what I'm after though. This is all new stuff. High altitude control balloons developed for Earth. Maybe they called it airship. Maybe airship instead of blimp. Let me just airship. Pretty sure it was Lockheed Martin though. I might have to type V-shape maybe. It'll probably come up eventually. We talk giant V-shaped airships. Here we go. Phoenix. Reaching speeds up to 17,000 miles per hour, close to Mach 23. Okay, let's just have a look at that one. Not JPL then, JP Aerospace founder. Here we go. This guy here, he's been interviewed and he says they've been working on it for a long time. And he reckons that the Phoenix Lights was one of these that come down from high altitude. And you can see here it's easily 5 stories. You can see it's got a row of lights inside on the middle of this one. And it makes you wonder if that's what Art Bell also saw heading towards Area 51. Okay. But yeah, it's best to find that TV interview, because this doesn't have it all. So here they are interconnecting. One concept drawing there. And they did some test rigs like this with actual weather balloons and helium with lightweight materials that were very strong. And it gets close to edge of space, right, and floats around. And some early experiments there and photographs. And does it even go into sea is the question. But that one there, could that be like one of the pods that goes underneath with the planes attaching? Big black triangles. And there's another one. Plus I've added a bit more to the page since I've last been here then. Talking about airflow, the best designs. And then you got the regular blimps they use in Arizona now for radar blimps and cameras. And we're talking about the loon balloon there as well on Google. But yeah, I don't know if it's got anything about hypersonics here, but they did say Mach 23 on that header, didn't they? Hypersonic. Which is hard to believe that an airship or blimp, I suppose airship, the difference of airship has got some framework inside. 26 hits here. Pivot to high speed testing. Stratosphere. Lighter than there, hypersonics. What's it saying here? NASA was flying V-shape, lighter than air re-entry vehicles at speeds as high as Mach 7 at 96 miles above the Earth surface, not 100,000 feet. So there is at least a technical present for hypersonic inflatable aircraft, extreme altitudes. Okay, but on the interview you said they did actually have it working. But yeah, I'm not sure what the show was called now, but you probably can look it up in my past streams. So that's the dive, is it? Drive.com. Anyway, better catch up on the side chat. So that's my little presentation there anyway. Take it how you want. I think it's a possibility. Let me just catch up on the side now and post that link. The Calvine photos don't exist. They're under protection till 2076. The only one that was leaked was printed in a copy from I can't remember his name now, but from a desk drawer. Hypersonic airships. There you go. Okay, so a few of you talking here. Let's see, Michael, happy belated birthday. Yeah. Spew, yes. This got over sickness by then, lucky enough. I'm not a bot, I'm an ego. Yep, okay. I was just going to say Mick West, I think I covered that one. Planes, buggers, aren't they? There was also experiments with the F-35, wasn't there? And various coatings. No one will care if alive. This is ridiculous. Robert Farmer. Always debating. Amy. So could this be invisible under cloud cover? Certainly airships are radar invisible. Because it just passes through. Alright? Because of the shape and material. Pretty much it's taken as artifact, right? Especially when you're high altitude like that, you get artifacts. So yeah, I don't think the Russians or the Chinese would even have a clue it was up there. And you've got to remember, the Earth is quite big, really. So even if this thing is like 7 stadiums big or whatever, and it's made into parts, then it can travel at hypersonic speeds, and they can stay up there indefinitely as long as they've got food. They certainly could generate their own power, and they could have nuclear batteries or nuclear generators, who knows. Would that be part of the Black Ops secrecy, of course? No one would want nuclear reactors flying above their country that they don't know about. So could this be invisible under clouds? Yes, it's cloaking, but look like a cloud. Clouds are normally, what we see, are about 1,000 feet, right? And planes can go up to 50,000 feet. So you've got to think in massive scales here. When you're talking about this floating airship or cloud station, as you want to call it, from what is it? It's Captain Scarlet. I can't remember what the name of it was called now. But we can look it up in past live shows, I guess. So even planes at 50,000 feet or even 100,000 feet, weather balloons with cameras are not going to see this thing 100 miles above them. Alright. Let's see. How many miles is 100,000? 5 miles? So they're going to be 95 miles above them. I think that's calculation. Let me just bring it up. Let's do some calculations. Did I post that link? I didn't know. Yep. Before I get rid of it. There's going to be other links there, right? JP Aerospace, so you can look it up if you want to, and play the videos if there's any that's available, and listen to what they're saying. I don't think there's any reason to lie about it. I think now we're talking about Russians 2015 also having high altitude airships. Maybe they know about the Americans now, so it's not really that top secret. And of course, it's one guy's voice, isn't it, from that's come out leaker, basically. So we're looking at that. So what's 100,000 feet to miles? 19 miles, is it? Okay, so that makes it 18 miles away. Can you see anything 18 miles away? It's pretty small, isn't it? We can see planes at 50,000 feet 80 miles away. But could you see something above you directly, 80 miles away? This just reduced the height, because we're taking account that if we were at 100,000 feet, I don't think we would see anything. We can just barely see with 20 times zoom on my camera the outline of a plane at 38 to 50,000 feet, right? And also length away horizontally, at least 80 kilometers to 100 kilometers. So, but I'd say they would have also, like these planes would have some sort of coating on it which absorbs even more radar signals, and I suspect it probably has some sort of LED skin built which can project whatever's above it, below it. So if you're looking up, you're not going to see it optically either. So you got to remember they were mucking around with this sort of technology with DARPA, right? With the drones. So yeah, I suppose that's pretty much it, apart from having a look like the disclosure team link that which we'll share, which Robert sent us to have a look at. It's 2 hours long though. We can play a couple of clips on it, I guess. And you can have a listen to what David Clark had researched about it as well. Q&A, Calvine, disclosure, let's have a skim of it. Okay, we don't need it.
Hi all, my name's Matthew Ilsley. In April 2021, I came across the Calvine case in the tabloid media. I messaged David Clark as a result of seeing the articles and seeking clarification as to what was in the files, what wasn't. And
where's Robert? That's what I want to know.
And I basically got swept down the rabbit hole along with the rest of us. Everything just began to pull at this thread. And lo and behold, after a year and a half, we managed to succeed in getting the photograph.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you for that, guys. So let's start. So I think initially, Andrew, if you'd like to give us your sort of small presentation and to discuss the analysis, that would be a good point to start, I think.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen.
Sure.
So hopefully you can all see.
There we go.
This. Yep. Okay. So as I explained, David asked me if I would copy the photograph originally, and so we met on the afternoon following his return from Scotland, and I produced both photographic copies and high-resolution scans of the image itself, the envelope that it was sent to Craig in, and photocopies that I believe were produced at the time in order to fax a copy of the image to London. The high-resolution scans resulted in this is a copy of this. This is when we were actually scanning it in a 2.14 gigabyte image. So it's a very detailed file. Unfortunately, the image itself doesn't have great detail in it because it's only a 10 by 8 print, but nevertheless we can zoom in. And I took still photographs so that we can make comparisons. So if there's anything that's a result of the scanning process, dust on the screen or anything like that, we can sort of double check against a photographic print. When I was doing this, I was kind of saying to David, "Oh, well, have you noticed this? Have you noticed that?" And in the end,
this is why you need to get your hands on a negative, because we know you can get 4K probably, if not higher, from the negatives. So unfortunately, the negatives may have been deteriorated, depending on how they stored it as well. So maybe even this photograph will outlast the negatives, and that's the best we're going to get. So yeah, that's yet to be seen, but we ain't going to be around when it's released. If ever, they might extend it again.
And I ended up doing a kind of a detailed analysis that I think, David, then it fed into your article a little bit as well, didn't it, David? And certainly it's been, I think it's been shared by Vinny, and it's kind of, people have responded to some of the points that I made. And I thought I'd now briefly cover some of these key points relating to the print. So what's important to realize is that whilst the image is printed on color paper, and it has a slight sepia tone, it's a print from a black and white negative.
Sepia.
A colour negative printed on colour paper would not produce a black and white image, no matter how you adjusted the...
Remember at the beginning of the show I said about sepia toning, orange colour toning on how they make the chemicals. So it's good that he's mentioned that too.
Colour filtration during printing. We also know this from the back stamp. So this is a back stamp. It's a big enlargement, and usually it's quite faint, but this is a back stamp that covers the photographic paper, and this is, this fits the era and colour paper produced by Kodak. And the image also has a print number on its back. This is a print number. This hasn't been released before. I've been looking into this, but unfortunately this number doesn't include a date. It just gives the enlarger settings and various data codes, the number of the machine, and these can be preset by the lab that's printing it. And in this case, I would assume that the printer was in-house at the Daily Record, that they'd have a mini lab printer to produce this print. Surface abrasions on the print. So in the center here we see the Calvine print, and on the left and the right are other prints of roughly the same era, which I've scratched the surface of, and you get a very similar result. This is what you get when you scratch color emulsion. You kind of get this pinky, yellowy coloring, which is not the paper base. It's kind of the layer of emulsion beneath the image layer. So this is all consistent with it being a color print. And in addition, there's a little spot up the top left-hand corner of the print, which appears in this kind of turquoise green color. And I'm struggling to really know what this is, other than if it is an area of undeveloped paper. So color paper, when you take it out of the box in daylight, which you should never do, of course, because you're ruining it, but it's got a turquoise green base color. And I'm wondering if there was something attached to the surface of the paper here which stopped the paper being processed at this point, and that's a little bit of undeveloped paper. So all of this is consistent with it being a print on color paper produced on a mini lab machine. So not a darkroom hand print, but something produced on a mini lab, the kind of mini lab that you'd have in a high street store. And they can produce images up to 10 by 8 in size. So I'm confident this is a print made from a black and white negative on color paper. Now there's two different possible types of film that might have produced the print. The first is traditional silver-based photography, black and white films such as HP5 or Kodak Tri-X or any of the other black and white films. And the other possible film is Ilford XB1 or XB2, which is a chromogenic film.
So pretty much we know this now. I'll just skim on a wee bit.
So it's probably a poor quality enlarging lens, and that would be probably expected on a mini lab. You know, if it was a darkroom print and you were using a high quality enlarger lens, you shouldn't be getting this. Okay.
So this craft is not a perfect diamond either. We've sort of noticed it's got a sort of a rounded edge to it here. But could that be like the top of something in between? That's what I said here. It does kind of look like two jets back to back, right? And you can see it's got a spine bit down the middle, and it's got white areas here and here where you'd expect cockpits to be, and a dark kit nose, right? And this one here has a little blobby bit on the end, which I thought might have been two jets passing, and that's like a vapor trail happening. But I thought this one here on the right was a wee bit more forward than this one here, so there's a few meters behind them. Would explain why one plane's overlapping the other just as a passing. But yeah, it could be that stealth blimp idea where they're sort of hanging off the side of a tube that we just don't see here behind. And there could be another two planes on the other side. But yeah, it's just a theory, and I want to add to the list. Oh. So let's carry on. See if there's anything.
Next. If we move on just to look at the photograph and consider the scene that it depicts, it looks as though the camera is pointing slightly upwards with the overcast sky filling the majority of the frame. Now, I know when this was reproduced in the newspaper, the sky almost went pure white. But believe me, there are clouds in there, and if you darken the image down, you can see the shapes.
Yeah, you can see the
formation.
clouds.
So it's an overcast sky. And as you can see, there's a fence running along the lower edge of the frame, and what appears to be a landscape visible behind. Now, there's been some debate about this, but I believe that there's a landscape behind the fence in the lower section of the image. There's also an unexplained darkening of the image in the lower right-hand corner. So you can see the image is slightly darker in the lower right-hand corner, and I can't explain this. Two types of branches are coming into the frame from the top, and in the center of the image is this unexplained, unknown diamond-shaped object behind which appears to be a plane flying from right to left in the image.
Now, some were saying that was a rowboat, and what we're seeing here is not the terrain, but part of the water. But I say bollocks to that. But I can see how they could see that could be someone in a rowboat, single person, and that's the front of the boat, and they're just rowing backwards, a bit like a rowboat. But yeah, to me that looks like a Harrier jet. You got the fat end, which is what it looks like, and then it has a little skinny tail, and then a single fin tail at the back, right? It's just very blurry, and you can see the pixels there now. So yeah, you can see how someone could have imagination that's an oar into the water with a little tiny reflection. But why is his reflection a lot smaller than the so-called island in the lake, right? That reflection would have to be the same depth as that boat there to be on the same angle. And why is it not the same color even? It's pretty blackish there. So, but I can see what they're saying. But yeah, it's not.
Image. And I'd say from the field of view of the image, it's likely that the photograph was produced not using a standard lens, unless this is a severe crop of the original negative, using a lens with a focal length of maybe 80 to 120
It could be a crop.
A mid-telephoto lens. It could have been produced on an SLR or on a compact point-and-shoot camera with a zoom lens. And it's worth mentioning that affordable, reasonable quality compact cameras with zoom lenses were very popular in the early 90s. As far as I'm concerned, the image shows no evidence of negative or print-based manipulation, and all visible signs suggest that this is a genuine photograph of something in front of the camera. So just going on now, if that's okay, Vinny, I was going to go on and talk about some of the key areas of the image, and starting with the fence at the bottom. And the fence appears to there appear to be a number of
bit blurry, isn't it? Is that because of the slight movement of the hand as he took the photograph? See, I don't know about film and chemicals and negatives and all that sort of stuff. And of course, if we go back to the other one, it's very blurry. Oh, where's it disappeared to? Motion blur. I reckon there is maybe some motion blur. Anyway, it's pretty good though. But Alien Addicts, Stu said he believed he saw better detail than this, and it had like irregular shapes, like the stealth craft that come out, where they clipped on all these straight angles bits on top of the body, which confused radar. So that was his opinion, that it looked man-made rather than alien craft. But who's to say, you know, aliens may use that old technology back then, and maybe it's refined now.
Overcast sky filling the majority of the frame. Now, I know when this was reproduced in the newspaper, the sky almost went pure white. But believe me, there are...
Okay, so we need to skim back on. He's talking about the fence line. Okay.
That is showing the second wire, which I'm assuming to be barbed wire fence. I went out and took some photos of the barbed wire fence, intentionally out of focus.
So barbed wire is very common on farms over here, so I'd say it'd be similar in Scotland. Because it was a lot of farmland. If you remember our last live on this 59, we looked at the map, didn't we? And there's a lot of farmland there with valleys and hills and a remote area. That was another claim, that it was a banner plane. Yeah, what, promoting animal feed to farmers? Yeah, kind of stupid that Scott Brando would even bring that up. But anyway, gotta love the debunkers rather than truthers. They don't believe it, so they've got to come up with everything that can discredit it. So we got a few more of those to come up here from Mick West on Ariel School as well.
And as the image got increasingly out of focus, the barbs disappeared, and you just got these regular blobs of a darker color, a darker density along the wire. And let me get, where am I?
Yeah, you can see that in the photograph actually, what he's saying.
Yeah.
So his analysis is dead on, obviously. I don't disagree with anything he said so far. From my own research and what I've heard. Wall grass shows greater blur than the field. Well, we know we do get animal fur like sheep stuck on barbed wire. Not sure why there's so much spent on the fence though. But we'll just skim on. You can go and listen to it after the show, I guess.
Using a length of the Harrier of 14.4 meters, which,
see, that does
depending
look
on
like
what
a
Harrier
Harrier.
it might be slightly different. Also, given that we have a scale in the foreground with the barbed wire fence, and we know the length of the Harrier in the background, you can make some very, very approximate estimations of what the size of this object might be if it is behind the fence. And my calculations are that if it was a third of the way between the fence and the Harrier in the background, it would be 20 meters long. And if it was halfway between the fence and the Harrier in the background, it would be approximately 30 meters long. Okay, so I'm sure we'll come back to...
So does that fit two jets back to back though? See, it's very hard to adjust distances in the 2D photo. And he's used it for typical poles between a barbed wire fence, which is actually quite clever, I must admit. How long is a jet fighter? Just type that in. See what comes up. 15 meters. What did you say? 30 minutes? 30 meters. The object. I think that fits exactly. You know, F-16 would be the same, similar to F-14 or whatever, or F-35. Triangle shape. So it still fits what I said. Let's just keep on going.
Talk about the Harrier and so on later, but that was my analysis of it. Now, some commentators have suggested that the image is actually a reflection in a lake. And
he's going to talk about the lake. And let me just go here. So he's saying the Harrier jet, it's 4.5 there. Okay, let's length of Harrier jet. I just want to see if there's anything that sort of doesn't match. "42 feet. So what's he saying there then? It's quite short to Harrier jet though, isn't it? To other planes, 13 meters. So it's normal jet size. Let me just have a listen to what he's saying there again. Oh, where's it gone?
now, if we were to assume, just for argument's sake, that the unidentified object was in the same plane as the Harrier, then it's 4.25 Harriers long.
Okay, so he's making an assumption there.
I believe is about 60 meters. I've just lost my piece of paper. I just need to go get mine.
Yeah, no
But obviously it's not going to be in the same plane, is it?
worries.
No pun intended. Not English is funny. A plane. So I think the 30-meter one fits better. What are you saying?
So that would give a length of the object of 60 meters. The Harrier, then it's 4.25 Harriers long, which I believe is about 60 meters. I've just lost my piece of paper background. It would be approximately 30 meters long.
So I think that's more accurate there, based on the fence, is it? So that's sort of fitting where I would agree. Keep going.
Okay, so I'm sure we'll come back to talk about the Harrier and so on later, but that was my analysis of it. Now, some commentators have suggested that the image is actually a reflection in a lake, and that we should invert it like this to view it. Now, whilst this is a possible explanation, I'm not ruling it out. I feel that there's some serious difficulties with the reading of the image in this way. So if this was an inversion and the this diamond-shaped object was actually a triangular piece of wood or a triangular rock protruding through the surface of a lake, then what we should be seeing is a mirror image in the water. And
not too sure. Again, he's got to take account of where you're standing and elevation and all that. So yeah, I'm not sure where the upside down business comes from. I'm not sure why you'd have to flip it. Maybe because of the color tones? I don't know. Anyway, let's skim on. I'm not too happy with that one anyway. And they're not too happy with the lake reflection anyway as well.
Isn't it?
That's right, exactly. Yeah. So this was taken from the Wade Military Road, the General Wade Military Road, which was basically the first road through the Scottish Highlands, built in the 1730s, I think. It used to take troops up to Fort George and.
Yeah, so I think we might have to leave it there. We don't want to play too much of it.
In front of it, the tree line.
So they have got these type of trees that fit where the location is. So they're proving the location. And they got that fence line there. So yeah, maybe they found the area which is not overlooking a lake. And you can see the hills and valleys there and farmland. And you can see a mountain or a hill range here as well. And it has got that sort of cloud, same clouds in the other photograph too. So, yeah, it's definitely a legit photograph. No doubt about it. But, yeah, I'm not sure. If we have a look at that image there, they've taken there. There's the trees the other way. Does sound like they might have been standing around a tree like that there, near the fence, snapping it, and not being visible, because the tree would hide them. Because they said they were scared, didn't they? I suppose if the military did spot them, they might have rounded them up too. But they didn't have to, because the UK RAG, for some reason, sent it to MOD. I suppose they'll probably talk about it in this episode. But yeah, it kind of looks blurry even on that one, doesn't it? That's probably a modern day snap. So maybe the tree was moving slightly of a breeze. And the type of lens and all that sort of business. You know about the F number. Remember the F number, where you got the aperture open, letting more light in or less light in. You know, pinhole camera gets very detailed in focus, foreground and background, I think it was. You can probably look up that in the past live streams, but what else we got? Graham Randall.
Irrelevant point, but you know, when I was 18, and it's quite known that I used to be into skateboarding and that, and we were all typical teenage tearaways, but a couple of the lads were keen photographers who had nice cameras, played around with different film types. We'd still go and get drunk and do all that crazy stuff, but
okay. Where's all these Scottish people talking?
Service for that role, because the Buccaneers were cutting out of service as well, so there was no.
Yeah, so just skim it, so you can watch that if you want to.
It could have been that they just got put in the negative file or something, and then circa 2001, when everything was digitized, they just chucked the lot and burnt it, you know. And so the best negatives that.
Yeah, that's right. I think maybe you're never going to see the negatives ever. Anyway, that's enough on Calvine update, I think. It's enough for you guys to carry on more research. So we can start looking at other stuff. Okay, third phase, is it? Or should we go for Mick West? So he's explaining Ariel School here, Mick West, onto the new subject, saying that the kids saw puppets, not aliens, and I just think it's hilarious. This guy who's never interviewed anyone or doesn't believe eyewitness accounts ever. The fallout with Gary Nolan, was it? Joel Weldon, what's this? Joel Weldon, some hairdryers. I'm not sure what he's talking about there. But he's on a panel here. Let's see if it plays.
Yeah, it's the Ariel School thing. Obviously, was this sighting in Zimbabwe where all these kids thought they saw aliens, and it's been a bit controversial ever since. And at some point, I basically speculated that the kids probably didn't see aliens. There was some kind of inciting incident that kind of led to essentially a kind of mass storytelling within the kids, and it developed into false memories because of the questioning of the people like Cynthia Hind and John Mack, who perhaps gave leading questions to the kids. That's my general theory. Now, someone else comes along, and they had an experience where their kids were going to school, and the kids did a class exercise where the teachers pretended that an alien spaceship had landed in the school backfield, and they did this thing where the kids all had to write about it, and this guy observed his kids and the way they reacted to that experience, and the way they recalled things that didn't actually happen. Like they recalled there being a big hole in the spaceship, and there wasn't a hole in the spaceship. So that got this guy interested. I can't remember his name, unfortunately. I'm terrible with names.
How many kids saw it though? 20? How many at Ariel School? Would all of them get that wrong? Now the adults, would they still be getting the information that they remember clearly in their heads wrong? Or hypersteria? Or false memories? I don't think everybody would fit that category if they're all saying it was a UFO and aliens and not puppets. How many children? I know we did cover this with Robert, Ariel School. We actually looked at the body language, and they looked like they were telling the truth too. UFO sighting. There must have been a few of them. 60! But was that how many saw it though? 60 children at Zimbabwe school said they seen a UFO. So 60 children who are now adults all got false memories, apparently, to these experts, induced by John Mack. I just call it cobblers. I never saw any leading questions. I'm not sure if we can play it still, can we? Martin Willis has had a few interviews with some of them, and they described the aliens as typical greys with the black eyes, but I've heard through other people that one of these grey aliens jumped onto a big rock and had a pot belly. So they're not all the same, these alien greys. It does sort of discounts them being biological robots, doesn't it? So 60, that's quite a lot. Okay. Where did we get to? He hasn't got much of the clip left here, is it?
So he kind of went down a rabbit hole, and he started researching this theory where he thought that perhaps what was seen were puppets. On the face of it, sounds kind of ridiculous. No. He did a load of research, and I'd encourage people to read this. He found like a puppet company that was in Zimbabwe at that time, and he researched what they did, and he showed how there were parallels between what the puppets looked like and the images that were drawn and the descriptions that were given.
Some of the images drawn.
And even showed like parallels between the way the aliens communicated and the way puppets kind of wordlessly communicate with kind of visual cues. And he did all this work, and he asked me if I would retweet it, essentially. And I was initially reluctant to do this because I thought, puppets. That sounds kind of silly.
Oh
Yeah,
my
puppets.
god!
Yeah, I thought puppets will become.
I don't think these people on the side are believing. UFO Jane, you know what I think about here. But yeah, I'm not sure about this group of people either. But yeah, Mick West. I suppose they must have the numbers, have they? I suppose we'd have to open it up and find out how many people they got following them. Because that's all that matters now, as long as you got 10,000 subs. The Unidentified Celebrity View, UCR, as they're called. Now, they only got big because they had Lou on there, wasn't it? He drew the audience for him. Good stuff to have mates in high places, eh? The rest of us have got to do it the hard way. And be hated. Why, I don't know. But when you challenge people's worldview and have your own experiences, and you got people saying all sorts of crazy things that doesn't sort of match your own experiences and what you've seen, paranormal even, you got to challenge it, saying they're bullshit and making up the story. There is some crazy stories out there, isn't there? And folklore, of course. So yeah, puppets. So he's got a link here, which I didn't see at first. But if we open it up, I'll paste the link to it to the Twitter feed so you can get it as well. And apparently that's a puppet being tested in the grass. Oh yeah, that so looks like a alien grey with big eyes. Nope. Mysterious events. And so it goes on and on and on. Now we'll just skim it. Class exercise, accuracy and reporting. And then he starts cherry picking some of the images. So, what are they saying? That looks like a puppet on string, is it? Spacecraft. I don't know. What's all that garbage? Wires. Is that near the school or what? What's it say? Have we got a caption? Actual scene at our school. High fence line. Not sure. You have to read it all. Oh, articulate and accurate. Saw some spaceship alien beings. I think there's better evidence. Puppet hypothesis. I think they saw puppets. Okay. Keep on going. What kind of puppets could they have seen? Those? Adolf Hitler? And a baby puppet? Oh yeah, that's more Cupid thing for Dr. Greer to use for faking. So big eyes. Oh yeah, that definitely looks like an alien grey. Nope. Puppet show about AIDS for children. Okay, so here's a puppet show. Yes, so children are going to be misled by that, and now they're adults and they still think it's a UFO with aliens popping up the top. Don't think so. And there's one there. I think the kids know what a puppet show would be. I just don't believe it. And then we got Men in Black, which they meant to have drawn some pictures down here. Men in Black suits with big heads. So we're the aliens not wearing skin tight greys, but we're wearing black absorbent light type jumper set instead. So they're comparing these drawings, 2 of them, from 60 children, to this Men in Black with a puppet in between. Yeah, that's doesn't make sense. So it would have to be one of those big head ones that they said above. So they obviously have got a picture of that happening. That's technology magic. Talking about old times and puppet shows. Yeah, that really helps. Puppet with strings. Yeah, no strings attached to aliens. That one's using fishing line and simulating a bird puppet. And the guy dressed in black, I assume. I'm not sure if you can play the video, but
Often go into a library or school and there'll be older kids and they're sitting there like this and like, we are not going to like this. You might initially get into it because how it's done mechanically, then they'll get into the beauty of it.
yeah, I think Ariel Schools wouldn't, even in a man in black suit, would be a bit suspect. What else we got? Telepathic communication. Johnny Mac. Interview 12 of the children 2 months after the event and brought out new details. Of note are how their fans and imagined motives of the beings are brought to the foreground. Most notably is the idea that the children received a wordless message about their environment and technology from beings. These interviews place the Ariel School children within the targeted creation of personal, what's that one? Epiphany. And I don't think that's how you say it. An audience that companies like AREPP, Puppet School, sought to achieve. So puppets can transmit telepathically through the artist's movements. Okay. Head of time. What's this one? Podcast.
Tell me, what do you spend your weekends doing in Rua?
Okay, sometimes I listen to the radio, sometimes I watch television.
So they're saying they've been influenced by radio and television. I never heard about aliens and UFOs before. Is that what they're trying to say? Children attending private school were somehow so remote to be cut off from popular culture. So they're saying that they're pre-prepped to aliens. I just don't get why 60 students or 12 of them would lie. What are they gaining from it? But their body language, if you look at the body language, they certainly weren't lying when they were being interviewed. And that's something that, or have they done it? That body language panel guys could do, couldn't they? Okay, so you can see a big rope on that one. So what's this one?
If we are to hear of such a case in this town, we would need to
A puppet.
understand the person, have compassion for the person, love the person, not.
So how would they pull that one off? A truck, flatbed truck with a puppet show in the back, shaped like a UFO, and puppets walking around. But that doesn't fit the eyewitness accounts of it coming down, though, does it? I'm not sure if you can find anything with it being interviewed. Let's have a look. Ariel Kids UFO Kids explaining how UFO showed up. I'm not sure if that's the right words to use. Was it landed, or did someone see it land? Can't remember now myself. Is Robert out there still? He might know. But children talk about witnessing. The landing. Here we go. Let's see. Can we play it safely? It looks pretty old. Why does it say June 2022 though? Eyes on similar. Sounds like it's from a documentary where it's going to be a problem, isn't it? I suppose we could give him a plug if we play it though, couldn't we? How many subscribers he got? About the same as me, so let's have a look.
We were playing down over there on the log.
Yeah?
And then we saw something shiny, so we all ran down over there.
And it was in the early morning?
It was at break time.
Yeah?
And then we saw something shiny. And we saw two people. They were in tight black suit. And they had big eyes. And a small, we didn't actually see their nose, but it was quite small. And their mouth was quite small as well. One of them was running in slow motion up across the ship. And the other one was standing beside the ship.
Yeah, you made a drawing, huh? It looked like this?
No, yeah, something like that. I couldn't see the eyes or the nose or the mouth. It was just blank, like a piece of paper.
Okay, so that's where they got the black figures from. So that's two of the kids, wasn't it?
Well, when they came, I thought they were crazy.
Was this the first thing you thought?
I thought they were crazy just coming to our school doing nothing. And all I saw was something like silver coming down, and I said, what must that be? And everybody's crowding it. I must go crowd too. And then I went and I started crowding, and everybody
So something silver coming down. So don't sound like a flat big truck or some camper van or whatever with a puppet show on it, does it? Sounds like he said it's definitely coming down. I wonder if we get any more information.
Then more people came and more, and then I said, hey, I can't see anymore. Come on, somebody, I'm short. Come on. And then I went to the front, and I started seeing more of them, and then I just ran away.
The day before the spaceship came, my friends and I were sitting in the playground, and one of my friends, her name Emily, she looked up into the sky and she said, oh, there's a UFO. She said, and I looked at it and she said, no, just kidding, it's an airplane. And we looked up and I thought to myself, that can't be an airplane because it was very shiny. It looked kind of like a cigarette, you know. It was a long thing and then on the end it was all shiny. And so I said, maybe it is a UFO. So we were all kind of like getting scared now. And then the day that it happened, then we started thinking, yeah, there must have been a UFO in the sky. Because my brother also saw it, but he's left the school now. It was sort of like...
Was that the day before they saw it? See, I'm not quite sure if I heard that right there.
Sort of like a round shape, sort of like a plate, sort of like two plates that were sort of like on top of each other. Then there was sort of like the hole, the hatch for it, and there was sort of like in between two trees. But you couldn't see that clearly, and it was just silver all over. And I didn't see any men
So he saw it landed.
or something like that.
You saw one UFO that's surrounded by little ones?
Yeah, one big one. One spaceship.
Yeah?
Little ones around.
Yeah, let me see. Let me see your drawing.
So yeah, I'm not sure what this is from. So
One big
ship, and then small ones surrounding it with there were lights.
Yeah.
Surrounding the ship.
alright, lights. So was that like orbs they're talking about there?
Like Sean's, huh? This is Sean's drawing.
Yes. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And, okay, one landed, the big one landed. And the two aliens came out.
Yes.
And...
Okay, so they saw it landing, so it means it's coming downwards. So unless they got the puppet show on a dangling off a crane being lowered down, it's starting to sound less like puppets to me. So what are you thinking, guys, out there?
And what happened with the little ones?
They'll go there and then it'll vanish, and then it'll go there and vanish, and then there and vanish.
Oh, really?
But going quickly. Like as if it was one ship moving. Yeah. Places.
Candace's drawing.
Come on.
Were they yellow?
No. I did.
People say to you, no, it wasn't true, so you think it wasn't true.
Then you think that
people who believed you?
So I really want to find out about whether it landed.
the grass was burnt and all the living things had died there in that area.
Okay, so there's a lot of information in these kids which doesn't fit the puppet. So yeah, we'll just give a plug on this one because we just skimmed it and played some clips which may get us in trouble, but we'll see how we go. Ariel kids explaining. Okay. So it sounds like they saw it land. Some of them saw it land anyway. Yeah, okay. Just close that back down. So we're just going through the puppet theory still. So we just saw some of these drawings on that video clip. Oh yeah, that looks so alien-like. Actually, it looks like Tyler Clockner from Security. So yeah, he was over there in Africa at that time faking a UFO landing, was he? Because he's a known hoaxer of interviews of himself and also using Photoshop and CGI, so... But that's why he's got 2 million followers, right? Truth doesn't matter, only special effects and lies matter when it comes to ufology. Let's have a look. Puppets against AIDS. Yeah, seen that one. That's not the same one, is it? That looks like Michael Jackson's suit. Wasn't that... I thought that one was related to the Welsh sighting, but maybe not. That one looks like the leader in the black suit, wearing black. Sort of fits in with the men in black though, doesn't it, as well? Big eyes and wearing sunglasses. Big head, big eyes, short legs, long top. And they said sometimes the men in black look like they were walking on stilts, so could they be? It's very true. Instead of being tall, white-looking men, there may be some sort of hybrid that's still short and on stilts. But anyway, there's lots and lots of stories out there of abduction contactee sightings. So real land, but then again, that's a modern photograph from satellite. What did it look back at the time that they saw it? It's probably a bit more built up, right? I mean, less built up with more forest. So, somehow I don't think that looks like anything like an alien. Certainly a bigger head, but the eyes proportion. So they're saying these puppeteers drove around in a van. Doesn't explain UFO coming down though, does it? They would have to pull it up on a cable in a tree and make it look like it's coming down. If that's was a possibility, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure the kids would be onto that sort of stuff. Looks like it's a cell tower there, so that must be a modern picture. Trees, kids, aliens. And there's one of those big head things. Running on slow motion. War paper mache heads. Yeah, well, they'd have to move slow, wouldn't they? But yeah, I can see how they're trying to fit things, right? And it doesn't really mesh together properly. Okay, let's keep on going. Stiff necks. Okay, what's she saying on this one?
They were just like looking at all of us. They seemed to have stiff necks. They didn't seem to move their necks like we can.
But that's typical of eyewitness accounts of abductee greys. Yeah, they got stiff necks. Yeah, I can see what they're saying here about puppets with the stiff necks and that just rotating. But you can see they're not living. Right, that's another thing. They're not actually living, they're not blinking. And I wouldn't say they've got small noses. That one looks like an African. This one, I'm not sure, a white man maybe. More pictures. So we're saying multiple windows matches a UFO with windows in the front of the car. And wouldn't the kids know what a van was to a spaceship though? You know, that's another thing, right? It's making a lot of assumptions. And they're saying this drawing here and this drawing here is like a puppet popping up behind the wall. big puppets. So I don't know. It'd have to be one of those people with the big heads to do that one. How old was the person that drew that one and that one there? So I can see, yeah, they're trying to, again, it does sort of fit, but 60 children all agree with that. Could some children actually be fitting a puppet show with what they saw? Maybe it's not a puppet show, but they're just fitting to what they've experienced. And it's muddled up in their head. So he's done a table comparison. Grey or unusual skin color, tick tick. Okay, so we've got ones here. Shiny black cloven. Cross. Found no evidence. Puppets had shiny black cloven. So that's a thing against it. Some people, and a white one, a red one, and a black one. Is that the colour of the skin? I don't know. Debatable if it was a puppet workshop. Multiple different looking people could be expected. So they put a dash on that one. Not sure. Black thing on the spaceship. Puppets operated above a puppet booth seen behind a vehicle. Roof or amongst the lot. So again, that doesn't cover coming downwards. So the African puppet show, that's how they operated. Didn't say they pulled it up to hang in the trees and lower it down. 4 or 5 of them. Possible puppet teams were 3 people. Possible, but not, they don't know if they were there that day. Blah blah blah. Glittering in the trees. Possible vehicles or equipment reflecting. Silvery thing in bushes. Okay, they've classed all that to be vehicle reflections and mirrors. Round disc. Something glittering. Silver lights. So there's a lot of ticks at the bottom here. Orange glittering thing. Maroon colour wavering about. Cuddled lights, yellow, purple, green. No supporting evidence that the puppets had anything like that. Maybe they do now with disco lights, but conclusion. The evidence presented here supports the argument that there is a better evidence that the children at Ariel School witnessed something related to the established puppet education occurring in Africa. Even though we got all those crosses above, their conclusion is still puppets. There was that the spaceship landed and the children encountered aliens. However, the evidence above makes a strong case that there is a physical similarity between puppets, including those made by trainee puppeteer workshops. Puppets are used to deliver a message, sometimes powerful without words. So, what's the burnt grass all about then? What they said. And coming down. So a Rebel newspaper report cited here is verified that puppet teams into rural areas. April of '94, there was at least 2 puppetry teams. 3 to 4 people working in the field, mostly in rural areas. Okay, so yeah. So what do you think of the Mick West one there? Anyone still out there? We've got 5 people out there. Who's out there still? Until we get on to the next thing. Anyone? 5 people watching? Which is quite amazing that we actually got 5 people watching. 5 lurkers. Anyway, latest thing here is what's his name? The Black Vault guy is being sued by Lou for defamatory comments about that he wasn't the head of ATIP, was it? Or SAP. So yeah, that's a bit rough because John is normally pretty clear where he gets his information from FOIA readouts. So I didn't see the big dive thing he did. I think it was a few hours long too. But he summed up something last night, was it? And also Truthseekers put out a statement too. Not UFO, we'll come back to him. Alright, so
hello to you all, John Greenwald here with theblackvault.com. I'm posting this video as a response to the avalanche of dialogue that started after my last video. That dialogue was in part good, but also in part bad. But I wanted to speak to all of you to give you an update, and hopefully maybe even answer a question or two that you have had since I posted my breakdown of Luis Elizondo's IG complaint. As that video was playing for the first time, I was spending the day with my son at the arcade. I never like missing my YouTube premieres, that way I can spend a lot of time with you guys, but time with my son means more than anything, so I left my office and checked in a few times when I could just to say hi. But while at the arcade, I got a text message on my cell phone from a friend. I was told Mr. Elizondo was retweeting a lawyer, and that lawyer was seemingly warning me directly about my video and defaming Mr. Elizondo. Let me read his exact words. Surely hope you don't defame Lou Elizondo. It is well documented that he was the director of ATIP, and any participation in a plan to cast doubt on that #truth is a knowing effort to defame and sow disinformation.
So, wasn't it just one letter as proof? Normally you need 3 things that back up the same claim to be 100% sure. Because didn't Pentagon backtrack on a lot of stuff? And I think that's what John was pointing out. Pentagon were also claiming that he wasn't the head, wasn't it? If I remember right, watching some of his older shows. So, yeah, I can see where the drama is coming about there. Did I post on the Mick West thing? Where is it? Before I forget about it. I better post that in. So you can grab that link if you want to. Mick West puppets. This makes me laugh, puppets. I just don't believe it. I'm pretty sure John Mack would have got puppets out of them. Anyway, close that one down. Back to John. Lawyers up.
It's legally actionable. Mr. Elizondo retweeted that not once, but twice. Mr. Elizondo stated first, "It's nice working with professionals. Thank you, Todd." And then a second tweet 14 minutes later. "I was the director of ATIP. It has been well documented, and I've been the subject of a campaign of defamatory disinformation by multiple parties. Again, my thanks to Todd McMorgan."
It's just like me taken out by Dr. J Radio when it was actually fair use. So yeah, another thing is how you present and word things, right? So if he's reading from a FOIA thing saying he wasn't a director, then it's up to Lou to discount that document he was reading from. If it's his opinion, in my opinion, reading the FOIA request, as long as you say my opinion, then that makes it fair use and not suable, right? So if Lou starts all this suing up, then how many others are going to start doing that? Now, Corey Good was the worst offender on that. And of course that silences people. People are too scared to call out, because even if it goes nowhere, the scumbag lawyers make a lot of money from it all. In America, like 15 grand just to get it all through the court system and stuff, and in the end rejected, but it still costs money. So yeah, it can kill off small channels, couldn't it, if they started this business? This is where Google needs to protect small channels. It should be like a fund, and Google should take them to court if they believe that they're being targeted unfairly for fair use comments or whatever.
Mercury. Now, one thing to note. My video was still premiering, and what that means is it was playing for the first time. Checking the timestamp, it appears my video was only about 37 minutes into playing, of the admittedly long 3-hour total runtime. In other words, it seemed coordinated. This all seemed strategic, and it seemed planned. All of which is fine and not an indicator of wrongdoing on the part of the attorney or Mr. Elizondo. But they had no idea what I was even saying. The video wasn't even done yet. Their rebuttals about Mr. Elizondo running ATIP pretty much had nothing to do with my video dissecting the claims that he made in his IG complaint. But they floated the D word anyway numerous times, worked in the word disinformation as well, and then Mr. Elizondo retweeted it to his 93,000 plus followers, twice, which resulted in quite the firestorm.
Once again.
Now let me say I can take the heat and insults from that crowd thrown at me in tweet form. I've done it for a long time, so there's no problem there. But that wasn't the part that bothered me about this entire situation. In my view, I did not defame anyone, and to float those words is not only telling, but incredibly damaging to the entire investigative process for someone like me and for people like all of us. We are all on an individual journey, our own, each of us, to discover the truth, whatever that may be. My path took me to vet the claims of a former taxpayer-paid government employee who made claims about a taxpayer-funded program or effort, whatever he wants to now call it. In his complaint, he utilized my work, and in my view altered it to make accusations against other taxpayer-paid employees within the Pentagon and the Department of Defense. Albeit my work was a very small part of his IG complaint, it was still a very big claim to make. And in my personal opinion, the story was altered. If it was not, I think that we should ask for more evidence. Am I not allowed to question any of that? What country do I live in if I can't question all those claims, not only made in the complaint, but others made in tweets and podcasts by Mr. Elizondo? What country do I live in where it is wrong to use verifiable evidence, vetting the claims of someone I once paid for through my...
They live in a country where mainstream media lie and exaggerate a lot of crap about the government, so it makes sense that it would be in ufology as well.
My taxpayer dollars to even have a job. What country do I live in where my efforts to bring as much verifiable evidence to the table, along with properly labeling and expressing my opinion, is legal threat worthy, veiled or otherwise, to be thrown at me on Twitter in tweet form? The tweets from an attorney and Mr. Elizondo posted online riled up a digital mob before my video was even done playing. The result was a digital lynching by a small but noisy group of Mr. Elizondo's biggest supporters. Anyone that has a following and has followers should be careful when posting such legal jargon and veiled accusations. The result is much more damaging than one might think, but sadly, I'm starting to think that was the intent. Although Mr. Elizondo's attorney has every right to tweet at me, and Mr. Elizondo has every right to do the same, in this process they are revealing an enormous problem in today's world. And that is, not everything should be met with a lawyer, veiled legal threats, or posts that I am sure all parties involved would know would rile up a digital mob of supporters. Rather, just attack my information. If you choose...
That's what I keep saying. There's a lot of these UFO channels out there like goof on attack the personalities and not the actual information. He may be trying to cover all that up now and making all these crazy statements online to his fan base that he's the one being targeted. So trust no one. I'm not from USA. Don't know how your what's this tax works. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Tax is tax. It's the same as every country. Government skims from what you earn, and in this country they also add on everything you buy. So they take another 15% when you order stuff online and shops and stuff and food, which is New Zealand's overtaxed. That's why they can have billions of dollars to give away. But anyway, is that what you mean? We're in New Zealand here, but yeah, all the people that follow me come from all over the place. Germany, UK, Australia, a few Australia, although I think we've got a couple of Kiwis, we don't often see them around, and USA, so yeah. Where are you from? USA? Trust no one. But yeah, we'll leave his statement there, and I'll just paste a clip to it, and you can listen to the rest of it. Because this is going to get a bit long, isn't it, this show? Yet again. How are we going for time? Because I know I've got to get ready for shopping and lunch and all that sort of stuff. So... statement about Lou Suin Tech. Well, and his 90k followers. Which is almost like a cult now, isn't it? Okay, trust no one. Another German. You'll be like the third one that would be following me if you're follow me, of course, on this channel. So yeah, I just think it's a bit rotten to sue anybody. There should be a honorary system, especially between YouTube creators, right? And looks like the doorbell's going off. Be a parcel for me, probably. I've ordered a few meters, so I'll be going over a special show showing various meters I got from EMF to radiation, and we'll be covering that in more detail for alien research as well as paranormal research, and the price of them and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So Truthseekers did put out something before he put out a statement, so we probably don't need to watch that, but we'll just skim.
And to Steven, wow, Sid, so generous of you. Thank you so much.
So he's got that problem I used to have, where it starts crackling. It's a bug in Windows, all Windows system to do with a audio driver and background. It doesn't like multiple cores. For some reason it corrupts the algorithm. This dark journalist guy, I just think he's just another talking head. And he just says the right things to the right people, and of course they sub to him and throw money at him. I never liked him. He's another guy in a scruffy type suit. What's the name? Sound. I didn't mute it, did I?
Post on it, but
no one at the stone
there we go.
place today to purchase the stone to make the patio for the porch. So, and he says again, thanks to Todd McMurtry. Now, some of you may not be
apparently this is the tweet.
That name, Todd McMurtry, but I was well aware of that name because I had closely followed the story of one Kyle Rittenhouse. Todd McMurtry is actually the attorney who is representing Kyle Rittenhouse in suing all of those media outlets who, I don't even want to use the term, I don't know what the proper term is, slandered him, reported factually inaccurate information on Kyle Rittenhouse, whatever you're, and by the way, we don't do politics here, so before anybody starts thinking that I'm a MAGA hat.
I think I've heard your name before, but I can't remember you seeing you for months.
I am an independent. I believe that both sides of the political aisle are filled with criminals, and you don't get extra points for picking one side that is less criminal, in your opinion, than the other side that is criminal. They're all criminals. That's my personal opinion. We stay out of politics here, but it should be noted and for sure understood that Todd McMurtry is sort of known to be a very right-wing, conservative, sort of a person, and he has.
So if you want to go and watch Truthseekers, you can and listen to what he has to say. But yeah, like I said, there's probably no need for that one now. I just left it there just to bring the topic up. So I'll just post that there. Not that they promote me at all. There you go. So we have to go through this because it's getting a bit long today going already. Okay, so we got third phase to go over, and we'll just come back to those ones. So not really imaginative covers there, but a lot of clickbaity comments going, crazy UFO video, the world has no explanation. Yeah, I'm not sure who they're watching themselves maybe, but people do have explanations. Ask Mick West, he's got plenty. So let's just skim this one. Is this the one we need to look at?
2.5, almost 2.5 months going across the country trying to find out what's really going on in regards to Congress, the hearings. We just got back from Washington, D.C.
Bollocks. They're out to make another documentary with Dr. Greer to make another 100 grand in their pocket. From gullible people that buy their rubbish documentaries.
We spoke with Greer, among other.
Which I've yet to do some review on this above top secret one. and break it down for you how it's not really worth the money anyway.
Officials there in regards to a possible cover-up. Is there a cover-up, or are we just spinning wheels?
There's lots of cover-ups. We already know there is. Doesn't matter. It's not just in UFOs either.
Months working on our latest documentary, our trilogy to Above Top Secret and Countdown to Disclosure, that we pretty much just wrapped up the edit to kind of get out of this.
Okay, so this one's not Above Top Secret, but Countdown Disclosure series. Did anyone hear more about Space Force? I mean, what are they doing? The Space Force, you mean what we knew from media? Not really much has been said, has it? From these frauds online claiming blue chickens and Stargate jumps and all that sort of nonsense with no evidence. It's just a load of cobblers and disinformation. I'm pretty sure there's been space projects, you know, since certainly Reagan had sort of mentioned it, so that the world would have to come together if there was an outside alien invasion. But yeah, maybe they put up that surveillance net around the world to detect stuff coming out of the atmosphere, like nuclear bombs, as well as stuff going back down, like meteorites and whatnot. But yeah, by then it'd probably be too late if it's big, right? So yeah, not too much, just usual noise, I think. Haven't really heard anything new since they said they were setting it up myself. But I think what I covered earlier on the show sort of goes into the Secret Space Force with these stealth blimps, and maybe the Calvine incident was part of one of the experiments that went wrong, and it's got come down until they managed to get it working again and shoot it off back into the upper atmosphere. So it could be part of the secret space program even back then, 1990. But anyway, just carry on.
Craziness of ufology. But we are missing these UFO videos that have been coming into Third Phase of Moon on a continuing basis, and that's exciting.
So why are they going to recycle a load of crap with one new video, maybe, which is also old?
As well. So tonight's episode, we're going to be going over an incredible amount of UFO evidence, and
which ain't going to be all the new ones that's piled up in their inbox while they've been on tour making a documentary.
We're going to be more proactive on YouTube right now. Now that we're back, our documentary's wrapped up. That's got to go.
Yeah, so they need to create some more cash flows. What are you saying there?
Through the process, we're going to be letting you know the name of the new documentary very soon. Maybe a trailer coming out. You're going to like what you see. Provocative stuff, boots on the ground, on location reporting. That's what we like to do here at Third Phase of Moon. But we welcome everybody in this live premiere.
Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's just carry on. Where's the crazy footage? Here we go. Now, I'm pretty sure this is recycled. It's nothing new. So, where does he say it's new? I'm pretty sure I've debunked this at least a couple of times.
Jaime Malzahn, he wanted to get your opinion.
Jamie,
he's allowing us
Jaime
Malzahn. Here at Third Phase of Moon.
You got to say J's H's in Spanish.
I don't know what to make of this, so let's just bring it in. And guys, I want to get your thoughts here.
Look at the dun-dun music. Dun-dun. So, what do you think, guys? Now, is that the same one, or is that just... I think it might be the same one. It's got 4 legs by the looks of it, dangling down. Kind of looks like something from Star Wars, right? That's what they're getting at, a UFO probe. You can see 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 legs that way.
Guadalajara.
So, I don't know, is it 2 different events? It's the same person's name. Oh no, it looks like it's 2 different events. Oh no, locations. So that's events as well. November 2021, guys. It's an old one. We've looked at it before. So they got lots of stuff in the inbox. Bullshit. Such a liar.
Guadalajara, Mexico. We have this in.
So that's in Mexico. 2010. Yeah, we've covered it before. So they're 2 different types of objects. Now, we've covered this before, right? And he's saying we don't know what it could be.
In 2010, as a reference to what was just captured this year, and it looks like whatever it is, it's back, and it's.
He's sort of laughing too, isn't he?
Incredible as we take a still and get some close up to see kind of the structure of whatever this craft is in comparison to this.
Yeah, so straight away he's putting ideas in your head that it's definitely a craft. But to me, it looks very balloon-like. What do you reckon?
Incredible one over Israel, according to Jaime Maussan. This was captured in.
Yeah, we can see the wind blowing here, but as you know, as you go 100 feet, 500 feet, and 1,000 feet, wind speed can change and drop off. Or go the opposite direction even, depending on the terrain as well.
In 2021, so different regions of the planet.
Okay, it looked like it was leaning then.
Was just captured this year, and it looks like whatever it is, it's.
Looks like it's got a slight lean to it there, which would suggest it's being blown in a breeze, right?
It's back, and it's quite incredible as we take a still and get some close up to see kind of the structure of whatever this craft is in comparison to this incredible one over Israel, according to Jaime Maussan. This was captured in 2021. So different regions of.
So it looks like it was leaning and then it got pulled back. I'd say that's on a fishing cable. A balloon, some type of balloon on a fishing cable, and they've probably put some weights on it to keep it upright. So, or it's simply a lot of material that doesn't keep it upright, and it's sort of flopped over onto its side. So that straight away, to me, looks like a possible sun balloon on the side, or one of those octopi balloons, or character balloons, right? That, you know, characters, balloons, characters, cartoon characters that have tentacles, you know. Trust no one, what's going on? Yeah, you probably need to watch the start on the show, because you missed it, and it might answer possibly some of your stuff there. I think Alien Force is never coming alone, and never in silent, you know, if they want to have contact. Well, a lot of people say they already are in contact, and there's multiple races, some that are good and some that are evil. The ones doing abductions are meant to be the so-called evil alien greys. Same as my talking avatar up the top there. And the Nordic whites are a human-like race that's sort of protecting us, or trying to. So, yeah, just take it how you want, I guess. We have no evidence of this. It might be that the government knows about it and have done an agreement with both aliens. I could see maybe the military would want to team up with the alien greys, and the normal government would want to team up with the whites to use them for helping to protect people from bad experiences. I could see the alien greys might be offering some deep state military section within the government's advanced technology. And you can see that conflict happening in the USA now. Often they're talking about deep state, and the FBI now aren't really for the people, but for political party use. But anyway, I like the colourful globes, orbs. They are really interesting. Yeah, we've covered that in past live shows with Robert. He actually bought a whole collection of them that spin around. And some of them have Bluetooth speakers on them even. But yeah, basically they've got interactive skins that when you turn on the light, they start spinning. So if you have it in the sun or whatever. But anyway, we're debunking this here now. So just type in sun balloon, helium. Alright, and you get lots of designs. So we're looking at one that's got. So we're seeing it from the side, so let's have a match. Can we see all the tentacles? No, because it's not the best quality image, but there could be more tentacles going around the outside, or in this case sun rays, and some of the longer ones flop downwards. So is there anything that matches that? Yeah, you have to go through all of the designs and find 4 that can flop down, and could that be one of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Of course, we don't know if some of the tentacles have been cut off, which is a possibility. Especially if it's used for faking a alien probe on a fishing line with some weighted, which could be water inside it. We know they do use these type of balloons even for fishing, right? And they put it on a fishing line and just hover it above a lake or whatever with multiple hooks. So we could actually be seeing someone actually fishing. Someone's just videoed it, and someone's made a makeshift fishing balloon kite. So is there any that sort of fit a sun balloon with 3, 4 long things? It's bound to be. How about that one there? There's too many on it. Okay. Nothing's really popping up. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, of course. 2010. It's got longer ones and shorter ones. Possibility. So I think it's really popping up that sort of matches it 100%. So that's a strange looking one. So if you deflated it, and some of these were stuck up and some were flopping down, maybe. So let's try another shit. Tentacle. Let's see what we get. So we got octopi balloons. No, it doesn't fit that one. What the hell is that? Giant floating jellyfish. It's a possibility, isn't it? And if you cut off a couple of the limbs, it looks a bit like a sun balloon with longer limbs. So yeah, jellyfish could easily be. Giant one for fishing. And you can see how well you could weight it as well. What else we got? And this one here, that one looks really close, doesn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 again. But a couple of these could be stuck up, right? So one we see 3, another one we see 4. So the wind could blow those up and they could stick to the surface with electrostatic. So that one there is a close match to this one. I think. And you may not see the full length of them because they're multiple colours as well. You might only see it going down to there. Let's just have a look again.
Of the planet, showcasing the exact same thing. This is quite incredible when you have two objects that.
So this one does look like one of these jellyfish.
Appeared to be the.
Okay. Also does look like a sun balloon still though. It's got these little bits sticking out the side. I don't know if I can see a happy face on it or not. It does look like 2 eyes there. I might be just seeing things. But it's got the bumpy bits that you see in the sunburnt balloons and jellyfish. And we're only seeing 2 there, but I think there's 2 other limbs behind those 2.
Exact same build, structure in different regions of the planet, almost a decade apart from the.
Yeah, because they keep making balloons, mate. So that one there to me is a really good match. Let's have a look at the top of it.
Sightings, so quite incredible.
Yeah, let's look at the top of it. It looks like it might be on a slight angle as well. If it's on a fishing line, it could be slightly pulled, right? And there we can see 1, 2, 3, 4. But we can't see 6. But you can see some of those 2 back ones look short They could easily cut those ones off. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's a good match, that one. And there could be something else out there still. Now I got a feeling that Scott Brando may have found the exact match, or maybe I did at one stage, and they relayed it in past episodes. So they're just recycling the same old garbage. Okay, doesn't mean it doesn't. It could also be a hot air balloon, because now they have similar things for hot air balloons. Yeah, hot air. Oh, I'll see what comes up. Didn't separate it. Alright. Yes, it did separate it. Okay, so we do get sun balloons too. And if we use the right words, I guess. I think I may have posted it on my Twitter post when I was debunking it. I'll have a look. Just doing it real time for people. Now, there's one. So it also could be a kite, but it looks three-dimensional, so I don't think it is a kite. Because they do have tail fins, right? Which in the case of jellyfish would be a good one. So, I need to try that again just to be sure. I'll actually make it correct way around. Hot air. Let's try that. See how it comes up better. Okay, so we've got a building with tentacles. People obviously have a machine blowing them up through the windows. What else we got? We got this one here. It looks very similar. Hot air balloon with tentacles coming down. So it could be far away. Come on. Here's one with multiple tentacles. There's the kites. I don't think it's a kite though. There's another one with long tentacles. That looks more like a squid though. Squid pirate. So yeah, instead of going through all that, spending our ages to find the correct one, I think that's what we're looking at. And you can see it tilts a wee bit with the wind, and I think it is anchored. Maybe even some counterweights to make it less buoyant for the size as well. Well, if you put water in it, it sort of acts like a dampening effect when the wind blows against it as well. So yeah, this is one I had. This is one I put together on Twitter with various images. And I think we just found the same ones. Why is it not coming up? Something crazy going on here. Yeah. Is it not going to open? Normally you can click on the images Probably have to be logged in. Which ones did I find? Oh, right, there was one there. There we go. There's that one with the tentacles. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can see. So could it be that? That's a possibility, isn't it? Or something similar as well. So anyway, there's doesn't take too much to do 5 minutes research there. They're saying they don't know what it possibly could be. They've been in it longer than I have. You can see he's not very serious in his face.
Well, as we're looking at this, guys, I want to get your opinion. What the heck is going on here? You know, it's kind of fun too that we're going to be bringing in some of the public, and I want to get your guys' opinions as well. But Michelle Jackson with the $5 super chat, do you think there'll ever be full disclosure by her?
So this is what yabba.
Lighter than air. We don't see any means of propulsion. Again, if it's some kind of balloon mocked up to be like that, it's very stable in its way as it traverses across this.
It happens when it's on a fishing line. You can't see that on even high-res cameras. You'd be lucky to see fishing line. Okay, on to the next one. What I'll do is I'll post a link to my Twitter images there, and you can have a look. I'll just pop back out. So, third phase again. Balloon. Before we get on to the next one, though, I think UFO was analysing it, and I just want to play what he said, which is just shows you how he sort of copies what they say and misleads people. Guess what? Probably got hit with copyright. Oh no, he got taken it down. Was that the one where he was showing past things, was it? Including this one. Oh, that's a shame. There you go. Silenced by his Blake. Now, he played a clip where they were having a fight over where they first initially met. I think Blake wasn't very happy. So, what's it say when I reload it? The user is set it to private, so that normally means there's been some problem with it. I just wanted to show you that he was mimicking everything they were saying, that it's too stable to be a balloon. And he said, well, to me, it looks like a balloon. Of course, it looks like a balloon to you too, probably, but you can see it's got stabilization and weight to it. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I've explained that. It's probably a fishing, someone's using it for fishing, probably. Oh well, that was going to be a fun one, but it's been killed off. And of course, Truthseekers again put out an interesting thing about censorship and living in a bubble. So I might just play a clip of that and post it as well. So yeah, so it looks like we're just left to wrap up with really third phase now then. And they've only got one video, so we'll just close that down and we'll just carry on with this one that's recycled garbage by the looks of it. Alright, so as soon as I saw this, I kind of remember I've analysed it before.
So,
wasn't it even a couple of weeks ago they re-aired that one too? But clearly you can see it's a bunch of LED balloons that blink off and on. Probably if they looked up the map location and found some wedding facilities there, it's probably from a wedding party again, where they release these white balloons, even coloured balloons with blinky lights on them. So even Scott Brando has done that one before. Third Face put it up because other people have been posting it. So he's saying he thinks there are balloons there as well, and I said Scott is correct. Probably from a wedding. And I think it's the same video. There's the spotlights. Sounds like it's near some sort of event, doesn't it? So is that street light though? Oh no, it's just the sun, is it? Going down, maybe? Could be a high mass light too. But anyway, exactly the same video, right? So it's the same one that Third Phase got up. So Scott thinks they're lead balloons, and I think they're lead balloons. Easy debunk that one. Again, that's just a matter of typing in wedding lead balloons. Some of them not helium though, but you put the word helium in there as well. But you get all sorts of these ones here like that there, which have LED lights in them, and when the battery run low they start blinking, as well as actually have ones that do blink. There's a good example one there. You can see there's sort of like latex ones. Anyway, moving on to the next one. We've debunked it before though.
Yes, it is.
Here, they were closed or they're leaving. They're like right over there. No, they were closer now.
Is that the same event? Yeah. Looks like the same event, different camera location.
Could be a flock of birds that are illuminated by some light.
No, and not flock of birds. Definitely not.
Basically stating right now that
there were pigeons that had blinky lights put on them in the UK, but it's not that one. It has a different movement to it. These look like they're flat, just floating. Birds flap their wings and all that.
Unknown craft, they're going to mess you up. My brother and I have been close proximity to these things. We didn't feel any adverse effects, except euphoria. Something that was unbelievable. There's something going on.
This one's clearly escaped advertising UFO balloon. Okay, we've covered those ones in the past too. So UFO advertiser balloon, they had about 4 bed men in size. They have helium. Oh, my throat's going. And then they have an anchor to it. Okay. Looks like we might have to narrow the search down. Oh, here we go. It's this one here, I think. You can see how big it is. They use it for advertising. Can rotate lights on them and stuff. Catches people's eyes. And you can see it looks like a balloon with a thing underneath. We're on the wrong angle here though, but you can see the dome, a dome underneath, and this tube and around the outside, exactly the same. So someone may have just been filming an advertising balloon and just cropped it and stuff to make it into a
two accompanying
fake UFO, which ends up in all these fake UFO channels, security, third phase, and so on.
Crap. Apparently, this again is coming from Jaime Maussan.
And Mr. Jaime Maussan, he just loves balloon UFOs.
Some people complain about not getting clear video. This is pretty up close, but could it be a hoax is the question.
No, it's just, well, it could be a hoax using an advertising balloon. So let's just scam on a bit. Okay, you can see this one's leaning with the wind this time. And of course they're not all that type of balloon. They've got ones that's slightly different in size. We've covered it in the past many times. Unfortunately that search doesn't show them. But we're not going to muck around too much. Just take my word for it. You can go and search past live streams, and we've got more of these advertising balloons up. What else we got?
Like button, destroy it. Make sure.
So they're just repeating stuff. Okay, so that's it for today, I guess. Advertising this music CD and Mac. That opened up again. Yeah, why is that got no cross on it? Can't see a cross on it. Let's get rid of that one. Bingo. The last thing, just to wrap up on Truthseeker, talking about censorship.
Almost everyone who wants to send her.
Alright, so apparently Linda Moulton Howe has locked up her live stream chats. You can set it so only members that have been members for a certain amount of months or years can actually chat on the site. And he's saying this is terrible. This is how they a lot of these people close themselves off from skeptics on the side chat, which is not a good thing. So I'll just wind back a wee bit and you can have a listen to what he's saying here.
Our question, why did you use a provably fake picture of an alien? She lost her mind. She took it as offensive. She told the person that asked her the question that was hostile. Apparently, asking somebody why you used a completely provably fake picture of an alien to sell your audience a fake story about aliens is hostile now. Does this sound cult-like to anyone else? Because it does to me. So I'm going to share my screen because we're going to talk about what just happened, because I think this more than anything shows you that this bubble theory is not just a theory. People live in their own bubbles, and they want their audience to live in that bubble too. They don't want people going outside the bubble for other information. They want to be, famously, Corey Goode has said that all other secret space guys are frauds except him. And he's the only one that you should get your secret space program information from. Translation, don't buy any of the other guys' crap, only buy my crap. They're all fakes, but I'm real. Linda Moulton Howe's case, she wants only very, very loyal people now listening and watching her. But, I think this is going to backfire. So what we see here is Linda Moulton Howe's most recent broadcast. And here, listen, friends, this is where it gets crazy. You want to talk about a bubble? You want to talk about creating a bubble around yourself? This, my friends, is the perfect example of someone that is desperate to insulate themselves from any criticism, good or bad. And, you know, in full disclosure, I support people going in her live chat and asking important questions that need to be asked. But this last fake story, 100% fake story that we caught her selling, I think it was difficult for her because there's people in her live chat commenting left and right. The picture's fake. Truthseekers proved it. The picture's fake. Truthseekers interviewed the artist from Brazil who made that picture. It's not a real alien. You can see that she got hammered in her live chat. So instead of addressing the controversy and moving on, apologizing, whatever, what Linda Moulton Howe has now decided to do is completely and totally insulate her from anybody that will be critical. Here it says, subscribers only mode. Messages that appear are from people who subscribe to this channel for, get this, 15 years or longer. Friends, YouTube has only been a website for 18 years. So apparently, in order to be able to chat in Linda Moulton Howe's live chat now, you need to have signed up for YouTube just a few years after it began. That's right, you have to be a member of her channel for 15 years or longer. Now, that
makes you wonder if she would get anyone on side chat then. Well, that means you have to be a paying customer, does it? But anyway, he does a good intro here, I think.
Dangers of the bubble. But before we do, we want to welcome some members of our line. You first dip into the pool of that bubble. Maybe it was a certain documentary that got you interested in what was inside that bubble. Maybe it was
living in a bubble,
book, or hearing a talk that somebody gave on YouTube that pulled you into that bubble. That first time, remember that?
A bubble in a rabbit hole.
Seems so harmless and enticing at first. And many people, many people, including myself, get involved in UFOs, aliens, and conspiracies. And they find that they like this bubble. Some quickly fall in love with the bubble. The bubble at first is sexy and enticing, offering you the truth, offering you all the answers to all those questions you've always had, giving you an opportunity to peek behind the veil and see the real truth and find out the real truth that you know that you have been searching for. That bubble, so warm, comforting, and inviting at first, it offers you sometimes a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, and a sense of family for some. That bubble at first is irresistible. Like I mentioned, in our first time, we get a little taste at first of what is inside that bubble, and naturally we want more. So we look for more time, more information, more ways to get back to that lovely, warm, comforting bubble. At first, it seems we're free to come and go as we please, in and out of that bubble. And that bubble sure seems harmless at the start. It can be intoxicating, invigorating, and exciting. But that bubble, if we are not careful, can quickly become an obsession. Many get so obsessed with that bubble that they get stuck in it, no longer bothering or caring about venturing out into the real world or spending time in actual reality. Before we know it, we may find ourselves spending more and more time in that comforting bubble. The next thing we know, we realize we've kind of lost track of things in the real world. Other things in our lives may begin to suffer as we begin to retreat more and more into that warm, exciting, invigorating, intoxicating, comforting bubble. That warm, comforting place where we, while inside, can feel special. We may feel in on special secrets that few people know about or have even heard about. We get lost in that wonderful bubble where we can go and perhaps feel better about ourselves or feel better about our lives. We may spend too much time in that bubble. But there in that bubble, we feel like our life has a greater meaning in that bubble. Eventually, we don't want to leave that bubble. We have become so comfortable and numb in there. And that, my friends, is where the true trouble begins. Friends, lately, I have been researching many troubling things and learning more about some people who got so deep in that bubble that reality, the real world, literally ceased to exist for them. And so lately, I have begun to worry. I worry about people who are living a delusion in that bubble, a delusion which must be maintained by ignoring facts and I suppose putting blinders on and earplugs, forcing themselves to become deaf and blind to the reality, the real world they no longer want to hear from or even see. I worry about people who don't know that they are being manipulated in that bubble, used and abused, most often for other people's financial gain. I worry about people who so desperately want to believe in certain people in that bubble, so much so that they do so even in the face of overwhelming evidence that that person that they truly want to believe in is just not who they appear or
And you could list off a few people that fits that category, just to sum it up there. I'll give a link to it so you can watch this full demonstration if you want. But yeah, Tyler Clotner, you know, he's got a hardcore fan group there. Doesn't matter if he's fake stuff, and they just dismiss it. Oh, he did that long time ago. But he's just put up this other fake CGI stuff from this other person. He might not be making them anymore, but he's still trying to get away with it. But they seem to ignore all that, right? And he's creating disinformation, massive photographs, which we covered last time, which are just camera scan artifacts, right? So if you haven't watched the episode, go back and watch. And then you got Corey Good with his blue chickens and Secret Space Force, and working along with the other fraud, which is Michael Seller from Australia, and so on. And Linda Moulton Howe has gone that way too, and she's got her cult following. And then now we just heard about recently Lou sued people, and he's got 90,000 people that are going out there and the army attacking and slandering comments back at the person that he's criticizing. So yeah, ufology is so stupid. Anyway, hopefully you liked what I did today, and hit the like button, share it, and again, we haven't got any donations, but the main thing is that people showed up and chatted on the side chat over any donations. But it does sort of help us keep it funded and running. At the moment, it's all out of my pockets. I got a minimum of $200 to $300 US a year I need just to run the basics of this channel. And if I want to get gear and stuff, that's a lot harder. It takes me pretty much a whole year to pay off the credit card and load it up again and to buy the stuff, because as you know, it's expensive. So here is Steve on Bubble. So I'll just type that on the side. Steve Bubble comments. How people get lost down the bubble and the rabbit hole out there, and defend people even though they're so been exposed with facts and they ignore it. And that's the problem with ufology, of course, because they've had experience and they like what this person's saying, and they can't see they're being bullshitted to, you know. That's basically what Steve's saying there, and I agree. But anyway, thanks for joining us today, And I'll just run up the end credits. And I'll see you again in the future, guys. And I'll do some more research on that other hypersonic stuff that we found last time. If I get a chance. Ending. So, yeah. Good night. And take care on the roads.